This is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus AEW Dark. This is from April 13th, 2021. So it's become clear that AEW Elevation is the B show and AEW Dark is the C show. Very little booking goes on beyond whatever they're deeming is the main event. And then they'll have a couple of promos for those people. And then some things get advanced for Dynamite. But for the most part, Dark is just really where the jobber match lives, where guys can get some experience or pad their records as need be. That seems to be the primary intent. Whereas on Elevation, they always go out of their way to do some kind of interview or video package highlighting one of their younger signees. And the matches are just of a higher caliber and quality. They usually have 4 or 5 matches that could be considered competitive. Something interesting to note, yesterday, AEW said, it's going to be 15 matches on AEW Elevation, and it was 16. And then they said there's going to be 14 matches for Dark, and there's 16. If there's so many matches that you don't even know how many damn matches there are, it seems like that's a problem. Folks, that is 32 matches in 2 days. Though strangely, the 16 matches for Dark got done in an hour and a half, and then for Elevation, the 16 matches took 2.5 hours. Obviously, there's some extra segments in there, but clearly we have a better match quality and the length of a match going on in Elevation as opposed to Dark. But let's just jump into Dark. For those that are first-time listeners, and it seems like I pick up a few every week, which is awesome, I grade on a 3-check system for the non-competitive matches, which comprise almost all of them. And in fact, tonight I will just go ahead and say there is not a competitive match in the bunch for the first time for Dark, further proof that it is the C show. So all of these will be graded on a 3-check system, where the first check is for if the proper person is put over in a memorable fashion. A second check if that person who is winning looks really good in the process. And a third check mark if the person losing does a really good job or is given an inordinate amount of offense by their opponent, quote unquote. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We had SCU against Jay Lion and Midas Black, who do this kind of weird lion gimmick. My favorite weird spot they did was to bust out a hoop for Jay Lion to jump through and land on one of SCU. SCU wins with the best Meltzer ever. Jay Lion and Midas Black, their act is what it is. This is now the second time that I've seen it. I don't know what kind of shelf life it has, but it gives a little difference, a little flair and a little color. I don't imagine these guys will get a contract offer eventually, but it's kind of nice to have them on the show, I have to say. SCU wins, 3 check marks. Good stuff. Though I imagine the Jay Lion and Midas Black bit will get really old. Though I did appreciate that their gear actually matched the sort of circus theme they were going for. Match number 2, Luther against Matt Sydal. Luther is Luther. And Matt Sydal does his best to get a good match out of Luther here. Wins with the lightning spiral. I'm going to give this one 2 check marks. I don't think Luther looked really good in this one. It was not, sometimes it goes okay, and I think putting him in a team with Serpentico is a great way to go. In a solo match, though, even with a guy like Matt Sydal sort of carrying him through and getting him from spot to spot, it didn't look really good. But so 2 check marks. Matt Sydal certainly looked dominant and won with a lightning spiral. Match number 3, Kit Sackett, and we have the return of Hayden Backlund against 5 and 10 of the Dark Order. 10 wins, of course, with the full Nelson. Hayden Backlund who's done okay. He did something that is a big pet peeve of mine. Young wrestlers, listen. If you know the person is supposed to duck your clothesline, you cannot throw a rainbow clothesline that would have had no chance of hitting. You just have to throw a clothesline at the proper level, and the person should duck it. Maybe if you want to go up an inch or two or keep your arm a little looser just in case contact happens, fine. Even though I hate that too, it's certainly better than the rainbow clothesline. And for that reason, I'm going to give them 2 check marks. I'm not going to give the 3rd check mark to Hayden Backlund and Kit Sackett. Match number 4, Colt Cabana against Jake Manning. Man Scout Manning? What the fuck? I can only imagine Colt Cabana's relationship with Manning is what got him this gig. And his silly stuff about reading the Boy Scout manual and stuff like that throughout the match, which actually got boos from the audience. So I guess there's that. It is what it is. It's kind of a silly thing. And Colt Cabana wins with the Billy Goat's Curse, which is a move I like a lot. So he gets the first 2 check marks, and I'll go ahead and give Jake Manning the 3rd check mark. Match number 5, Queen Aminata, who I've not seen before, and teaming with Amber Nova, who I'm quite familiar with, but haven't seen her in AEW before. Amber Nova really stole this one. She might be our performer of the week, our enhancement talent of the week. Really looked good here against Red Velvet and Big Swole. Big Swole looks okay. It's good to have her in a team because Red Velvet could do the lion's share of the work, because this is, after all, about really putting Red Velvet over for her feud with Jade. Kylan King's at ringside, by the way, so I guess they're a clique. Jade does come out after the match is done, and Red Velvet dives through the ropes to get her, though Jade Cargill quickly gets the advantage before they are split up. I think that little bit worked, and it sets up their match on Dynamite tomorrow night. Match number 6, Aaron Solo, who is part of QT's upstarts, now known as The Factory, getting a win here against Fuego del Sol, and a really dominant one. Wins with this kind of cross arms pedigree thing that looked really good. Fuego del Sol does his usual great job making people look good. 3 check marks. Ryan Nemeth cuts a promo about how he's going to beat Alex Reynolds. It's fine. It's good. Ryan Nemeth's rather strange lineup, I've won almost half my matches, was incredibly bizarre. Next, we had Andrew Palace, Stone Rockwell, and Mike Magnum against the Gun Club. Typical Gun Club 6-man. Billy Gunn, like I always say, directs traffic in these things really well. Colton wins with the double underhook into a kind of a flipping move that Nolan Edward uses for his finisher. It looks good. I got to say, Colton is looking better and better. 3 check marks all around. Match number 8, after we have a commercial for Double or Nothing game, a casino game, I would assume. Kylan King takes on Maddie Renkowski in the most competitive match of the bunch. It looks really good. Kylan King even did a little promo from her car after she got out of the gym earlier. I saw that on Twitter. I found that amusing. I really like Kylan King's finisher. She picks them up like an atomic drop, but then moves them all the way through into dropping them face first. I think it looks great. I love that she's gotten far away from the Queen of Crazy thing. I think the look of the strip of color underneath her eyes, a la Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner, I think it's a great look. Good stuff, and Kylan King picks up the win, 3 check marks. Now the Dark Order's there, and Alex Reynolds, declaring himself handsome, says he's going to beat Ryan Nemeth. Okay. Match number 9, Matt Hardy against Ken Broadway, who has this gimmick where he fans out money, and him letting it rain as he did a moonsault was hysterical to me. I think it's really funny. Matt Hardy wins with the leech and then cuts a promo to Darby Allin, who is watching on. Good stuff. Match number 10, Very Morales, who's one of my favorites, and Spencer Slade against Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Very Morales isn't in this one very much. It felt like they were protecting him and had Spencer basically take the beating and take the pin. Not a lot to this match. It's good for what it is. I'll go ahead and give it 3 check marks. right? They win with the fatality, of course. Very fast match. Match number 11, Shauna Reed making her debut against Britt Baker. Shauna Reed looked really wonky at first. Obviously, it's green as grass, but Britt Baker carried her through and eventually got the lockjaw on her to continue her sort of dominant run. Worked for me. 3 check marks because Britt Baker kind of carried her through that match, and she ended up looking pretty good in it. Match number 12, Carly Bravo, Dean Alexander. Very solid outing from both of them. Carly Bravo took the drill claw better than anybody has. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage have kind of given up this notion that they're not getting along. So they just kind of do a solid tag match. Brian Cage wins with the drill claw. 3 check marks, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Match number 13, Jesus H, Layla Gray against Nyla Rose. This is the kind of matches that Nyla Rose does so well, where she just demolishes people. She demolishes Layla Gray. It's all meat and potato stuff here. And then Vicky cutting the promo afterwards about how dominant Nyla Rose is. Less screechy than usual, which actually I appreciate. Nyla Rose wins with the Beast Bomb, 3 check marks, and then Prince Kai and Will All Day against the Varsity Blondes. This is the best that the Varsity Blondes have looked when they're going over. And their finisher, which they've experimented with different things. This one's very simple, kind of a discus forearm by Griff Garrison, followed by a top rope clothesline by Pillman. They appear to be getting along very well, and the chemistry is now there, not just in the ring, but in terms of how they're relating to each other. I'm noticing the improvement. Good job, Varsity Blondes, 3 check marks. Lance Archer against Cole Carter. This is exactly what it should be. Lance Archer, who's another guy who's been changing his finishers up, or maybe he just didn't want to do that falling thing that he does. So he did a ripcord into like this swinging uranage or rock bottom, if that makes you more comfortable. It looked good. Cole Carter did a good job getting his ass kicked, so 3 check marks. And then finally Ryan Nemeth against Alex Reynolds. Who wins with the Platinum Plunge, which was my finisher, but basically hold them in a body slam position, then swing them through into a rock bottom. So we're having rock bottoms aplenty here at the end of the show, which is not great, but not that big of a deal. And Ryan Nemeth and Alex Reynolds actually pulled off a pretty good match, and 2 of them can sometimes look wonky, especially Ryan Nemeth, but the match was pretty smooth here. 3 check marks. So we're through another AEW Dark. I'm curious what this show is going to turn into, or if this is what it's going to remain. Because I got to tell you, it's exhausting. As somebody who loves wrestling and watches a ton of it, I mean, can they keep doing 16 matches on one and 16 matches on the other? When you think about it, that is motherfucking 4 hours of extra wrestling programming on the YouTube. Anyway, this has been Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling.